I'm going to talk to you for a couple minutes, and I'm going to read to you about setting, place. New writers, in particular, often forget to create a space for their story to live in, fiction or memoir, nonfiction, creative nonfiction. And they're telling a story, and it's kind of like, where are we? And I don't mean naming a place. I'm going to read you a sample. When I teach my, here's a little ad here, my introduction to fiction writing class, my elements of fiction, I start with setting, not plot. That's the last thing. Start with setting. Where are we? Acclimate your readers. Where are we? So it's those visual and sensory details that add so much to a story, and we spend time uh, reading writers. I read bits to you, which I'm going to do now, and playing with setting. So I just want to say, I could say tons about it, but all I'm going to say right now before I read you this awesome sample is science fiction writers know this, that they have to create a world. You know, the term is world building. They know they have to do that. But folks who don't write science fiction sometimes forget that. Like, no, you need to create the world where the story is happening. Sometimes lots of detail, sometimes very little. So anyway, something to look at, right? And so here's a book, a new book, Light Skin Gone to Waste. It's from a library it's got borrowed from another library. Roxane Gay mentioned it in her newsletter, The Audacity, which is an awesome newsletter. If you don't get it, there's a free version. It's Substack. There's a paid version where you can go to book discussions and you can comment on stuff, but there's also a free version. And she's and on Sundays, I think it's usually on Sundays, there's something called the Audacious Roundup with like 30 items of things to read and things to see and things to eat and things to think about. It's just an amazing compilation of stuff. And this was on there a couple of weeks ago. And it won the Flannery O'Connor Award for short fiction, and Roxane Gay was the judge. And so she's saying, read this book. And it's being called linked stories. To me, though, it's even more, I read it, and to me, it feels like a novel in stories. Linked stories don't necessarily follow a narrative line. This does. It's a narrative dated. The stories are even dated. I think it's a novel in stories. Like The Women of Brewster Place, if you read that, it's called a novel in stories, and that's what this feels like. But either way, it's awesome. So I read the first story. I'm not going to read you the whole story. I'm going to read you like a page. And I was just blown away by the setting, the subtle, beautiful, intense, powerful way. Oh, the author is Toni Ann Johnson. The way that she created setting for the story. Okay, so I'm going to read to you, okay? So just sit back, relax, breathe. You like to be read to, don't you? And the story is called Up That Hill. Monroe, New York, 1962. Philip Arrington rounds a curve in his 1959 powder blue Chrysler and finds himself unable to focus on the road. Walton Lake, a silver dollar in the sun, shimmers to his left. Flanked by lush woods, it's an impressionist painting brought to life, a dream he'd like to dive into and explore. For the first time during his 15-minute ride from Goshen to Monroe, Phil's eyes have stopped scouring the road for Black drivers. He hoped to see at least one, but with this view, it doesn't matter anymore. If being a lone pioneer is what it costs to enjoy this small town beauty, he'll pay. He turns off the road onto another, passing a convenience store and a sign for Walton Lake Estates. The car chugs up a hill beneath a canopy of maple trees. He inhales country air, refreshing, even with the oppressive heat. Squinting out the window, he takes the second right, winding up a steep incline past single-story structures with decorative shutters. They seem fairly new, small, about 1,200 square feet, and they all look alike. Nearing a pale yellow house with green shutters, Phil notices a lobster-colored man with a crew cut standing shirtless on the porch, facing the street. Two red-haired little girls run through a sprinkler in the front yard. He meets the man's eyes as he passes. Phil nods, smiles. No response. In the side mirror, he watches the man's eyes follow his car. Further up, Phil slows the Chrysler to a stop under an oak tree across from a white house with black shutters. The car is still now. There's no breeze. It feels like he's driven into the mouth of a fire-breathing dragon, though all four windows are open and he's parked in the shade. With a handkerchief, he dabs sweat from his forehead and upper lip. The front porch is light gray. A carpet of grass and neatly trimmed shrubs line either side of the concrete walk leading to the porch. Up ahead, the block rounds into a cul-de-sac. Two barking German shepherds chained to a pine tree jump at a blonde boy riding a bike in circles. Next door, a teapot-shaped elderly lady in a straw hat prunes rose bushes. A bird sings. Phil looks up at a red-bellied robin perched on a branch above the car. He imagines that at night there are crickets, fireflies, and an endless view of the stars. He's eager for the respite from the Bronx, from the sirens and the trains thundering above White Plains Road, from his ex-wife and his mother. His Timex says 5:40 p.m., chest thumping, fingers trembling. He shoves the coil lighter in and eyes the pack of Benson and Hedges on the seat. Looking in the rearview mirror, Phil runs a hand down his amber-colored face. He saw his barber on Sunday. The cut is short, kink tamed. He shaved again before leaving work, as his new wife recommended. Good grooming helps put white people at ease, Velma said. He lights up and sucks in a few minutes of calm. When he grabs the suit jacket off the back seat, he slips his fingers into the breast pocket to be sure the $100 bills are there. Polished floor chimes hit the blacktop gleaming. Sliding into the jacket, he feels sharp as a church lady's hat pin. Okay, then he goes up to the house and so I got a little bit into the characterization. But wow, right? It's not just describing there's a road, there's a lake, you get a total sense of this place. What was the year, 1962 something? Sorry, let me look again. So the date definitely helps. That definitely helps. Yeah, 1962 definitely helps to have that date under the title. And they change as you go through the novel. But wow, is that amazing? You can listen to this again or get the book. Shoo, awesome, I'm gonna buy it. I always get stuff from the library first because I don't have room for or money for all the books that I want to try out. So if I read them and I'm like, oh, I'm going to want to read that again, then I buy it. So when it's in paperback. So, but notice how the setting, it's not just static, which sometimes works in small bits. But it works, I think, more often when the character is engaged with the setting. So he's driving up the road. He's seeing people that are going to appear later. And you can kind of see that one guy's kind of ominous. So there's a description of his house and his kids and the bike. You get a sense of this community and how white it is. But he's willing to pay. And he does. And so you just get a total sense of this place and the conflict. There's this man looking at his car as he goes up the road. The conflict's established right then, too. So it does more than just describing a place. Setting is powerful. Setting can be one of the characters. And actually, in these works, sometimes it is. Here it is. This story could not happen in a place unlike this, because that's the conflict. There's racial conflict. So I just wanted to share that with you and get you thinking about how you can use setting to your advantage in your stories and in memoir as well, memoir and fiction. Okay, that's it. I'm Pam Sorellis of Winged Horse Writing Studio, and I help writers lift their voices. I hope you'll check out my website, wingedhorsewritingstudio.com, and maybe sign up for my newsletter because I give little tips every week. It's short. And then I hook videos to it occasionally, like this one. And that's it. I'll see you again soon. Take care.